Simply put, it's a choice between a socialist nightmare and the American dream. Under the last administration sold out American workers like never before, and they sold them to donors, special interests, and globalists. And if you take a look, we have probably plenty of them watching right now, and I understand where you're coming from, but didn't work out too well with me. We succeeded by reversing, instead of corrupt and horrendous trade deals written by lobbyists and special interests, again, some of you, I negotiated pro-American trade deals based on the principles of fairness and reciprocity. Very important. I ended the NAFTA nightmare and signed the brand new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement into law. I've taken the toughest ever action against China's chronic trade abuses that we all know so well.
That does not sound like a man that's gotten better from COVID-19. That was Donald Trump earlier this afternoon giving a speech for the New York Economic Club, and he does not sound like a man that's all the way better from his illness. He just doesn't. Across those clips, he's clearly raspy. He's losing his voice. At least from my perspective, he's trying to hold in coughing fits in each one of those clips. This is a man that I still think is facing the symptoms of the illness that he should still be quarantining for. And again, I've talked about why Donald Trump isn't doing that. There's really two key reasons. The first is that he wants to get back on the campaign trail. And as long as he's perceived as having this illness, more and more venues aren't going to want to host him, and it's going to look politically irresponsible for him to be traveling around to a lot of the voters that actually believe COVID is real, and those are the people that are not currently with Trump, but that he needs to win over to win the election. And this is why the debate got canceled, right? Because Trump didn't want to do a virtual debate because he insisted on being there in person, but the debate commission could not guarantee the safety of those having to be around a contagious man, so they canceled it. That's why the debate got canceled. And Trump doesn't want that to happen. And he wants his rallies to look safe and responsible, so he's basically saying, I'm better, I'm fine, I'm good, don't worry about me. And he's also doing that because, again, Trump has often tried to downplay this crisis. And he's often said it shouldn't be something to fear to run your life. It's not as big of a deal as the liberal media is suggesting. But what that tells you when he's still sick, when he's still showing the symptoms, he also doesn't look quite the same. He looks off. His complexion looks different. When you look and sound and you don't feel quite right, and people can feel that and see that, what it's signaling to people is this is a big deal. This isn't nothing. This is a man with the best treatment in the world, and he's still hurting from it weeks later, a couple weeks later. And this is a man in the best possible position to get the care he needs. What about people like me? What about me? What's going to happen to me if I, have the same misfortune he does to get this illness? And that's going to make people think maybe Donald Trump is wrong and this is serious. And I also think it's quite indicative that, when Donald Trump says he's gotten a quote-unquote cure or he's quote-unquote immune, it's not true. Donald Trump's treatments have obviously helped him. But I don't know, I'm not convinced that his treatments have actually solved the problem, but more delayed the problem. That his treatments help him perform speeches and things like that, on short notice over the short term. But when the medicines wear off, you can see it. He's still very much, in my view, getting some kind of treatment because you don't sound like he did last night, where he didn't really have these issues, or if he did, they were isolated over a very, very long speech. And now he can barely get through sentences without cracking up. This is awful. And again, I've said this before. I don't care about Donald Trump. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. I think he's an awful human being. But if you like Donald Trump, you should be concerned about what you're seeing. Because this is a man that if you value him and if you say, I love the president, I wish him all the best, this is not healthy for him. It's not healthy for those around him, but it's not healthy for him. He needs to rest. He could still do campaigning, but he needs to stop these rallies. He needs to stop demanding in-person interviews. People will understand. if the people that are going to call him weak for it are his base, and they'll still vote for him. Trump won't lose reasonable voters when he says, look, I'm still recovering and I'm going to do my best to recover and still fulfill my campaign duties, but also my presidential duties. Any reasonable person will not reject him for that. This effort to show this fake machismo, to basically pretend everything's fine when it isn't, is the very thing that put America into this crisis. There was a clear problem and people ignored it. People in leadership like Trump, and millions suffered. And now he's sort of doing it to himself on a personal level. Maybe there's karmic justice there, but at the end of the day, he should just take care of himself and acknowledge that he's not better yet.